Since I do not want Knickknack's Plastic Planet to be the reason anyone gets a cease and desist order, I'm going to be a little careful on how I approach this particular video. But I really want to make a video on this today because it's kind of cool. I got put onto this little third-party company, this little fan-made company that is doing 1970s and early 80s era sci-fi action figure cardboard play sets. I got put onto this by the good people over at Retro Blasting, and while I don't know anyone over at Retro Blasting, and I've never met anyone over at Retro Blasting, I am a fan like everyone else, and I do tend to like some of their work over there, and especially some of their more documentarian videos that they make. But nevertheless, I got put onto this particular company's Facebook page from Retro Blasting, from a video they did a couple months, maybe about a month ago, on a Battlestar Galactica play set. Well, this is the Star Trek The Motion Picture USS Enterprise bridge, and I've always wanted some kind of representation of the bridge itself in my Star Trek collection, and so this was a no-brainer for me to pick up. Alrighty, guys, and as you guys can see, this is the finished product on my shelf. And a little bit differently than how it's portrayed on the box. This playset, I believe, is actually made more for the Mego scale action figures, which are a true 3 3/4 inch scale figure. This is Dr. McCoy, the only Mego Star Trek figure that I actually own. This was given to me by a good friend many, many years ago, like in middle school. It was his, and he gave it to me. But nevertheless, I don't own any other Mego 3 3/4 inch scale Star Trek The Motion Picture action figures. So I went with a much more cheaper and honestly a little bit better option, in my opinion. And that is, of course, the 1990s Playmates Star Trek figures. Now, there is a bit of a limitation, and I was kind of surprised by this. I don't know a great deal about Star Trek The Next Generation Playmates action figures, but there is a little bit of a limitation in the availability of characters from Star Trek The Motion Picture itself. The only other figures that I could find, and maybe if you guys know in the comment section other ones, feel free to correct me, but the only ones I could find is I've got Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, Admiral Kirk, and Mr. Sulu there, and I know there is a Lieutenant Uhura that I'm going to order, as well as a Lieutenant Ilea, but she is more in the in her probe kind of, I don't want to call it a dress, but sort of that spacey, Gene Roddenberry sci-fi flowing gown that she is in, as opposed to a Starfleet uniform. But nevertheless, I think she would still look fine in the helmsman position. I think that's the helmsman position. But anyway, so I think she would look fine there. But anyway, so there is a bit of a limitation on the number of figures that I can get for this, unless I want to start doing some customs, which I might do in the near future, because these Playmates figures are extremely inexpensive. But it just looks really, really fantastic on my shelf. I just got to say, just kind of panning back a little bit, that's just a really, really damn nice looking Star Trek shelf that I have put together here, if I'm kind of patting myself on the back a little bit. And again, this is just cardboard. It is cardboard. It is nothing but cardboard and Scotch tape holding this thing together. And it took me almost an entire afternoon to do it. You are going to be doing a lot of cutting out. It's a task. I'll just put it that way. And you know what? I'm not a model maker. Hell, guys, I hate wrapping Christmas presents. So this was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. It's just not something I enjoy doing, is this sort of handiwork. And so mine has some bad creases in it, and it's got some visible Scotch tape pollution. I think other people could probably do this much better than I could. But nevertheless, I think it looks pretty good. The figures themselves sit sort of haphazardly on the chairs. The chairs don't really sit on the playset that great. But again, guys, it's cardboard, and I only paid $35 for it. So I cannot complain. This is just a third-party fans project. This is nothing but love here. So it's, I'm not going to give it any kind of edgy review. It's just fun, and I think it looks really, really good overall, actually, in my collection. So really, really pleased to have it here.